kick off the call and say welcome everyone to our weekly call. So as we are sort of rapidly advancing through August, which is quite shocking, but there you are, more than halfway through the year. I'll just share my screen to remind us all what we're going to be talking about this week. So hopefully you're able to see my screen on your devices. And as a reminder, sort of two main topics of discussion this week. We're going to be talking about OARC first, so the OARC sort of organisation, as well as the forthcoming OARC 39 meeting, which is sort of coming up in sort of less than a couple of months' time now, in October. So Denesh and Steve will talk about that, and then that will morph seamlessly into a conversation about another impending event, UKNOF 50, which is coming up in a few weeks. Actually, that's in September, which Denesh will give an update on. So we'll run through those, and then, as per normal, I'll give you a quick run through a few sort of recent event developments and forthcoming events. Make sure you're aware of some forthcoming cool topics, and pick up on any other items that you wish to talk about, time permitting. We'll sort of wrap up on or around the hour, and I'm hoping that in the meantime Michael's got his audio working. The joys of having a laptop upgrade, which makes things interesting. But let me, without further ado, I will stop sharing these and seamlessly move to the OARC slides. Or at least I would do if I press the right button. Let me just do that again. Make sure I put the right ones up. Yeah, so this is definitely OARC. And if I share those, so you should be able to see those on your screens, and I will sort of hand over to sort of Denesh and Steve collectively, who, as you were just discovering, you know many but not all of the people on the call. But it's probably easiest if you sort of, as part of sort of introducing what OARC is, perhaps explain your roles in it. Is probably give people a bit of a context for those that haven't met you, and then just sort of tell me when to move on through the slides, and I'll press the necessary buttons. So any more to do? Denesh, Steve, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrew. Well, hello everyone. I'm Denesh, and I have my colleague Steve Sullivan here with me. We're going to give a slight overview of OARC. We understand, as I can see now, that quite a lot of people on the call do understand who we are, so we don't have to go into too much detail. So we'll just give a slight overview of what we are, what we do, how we do it. And so I'm Denesh, and I'm the workshops manager, and Steve is the memberships manager. And all the staff involved within OARC, we all do outreach. So whenever there's an opportunity for something like this, we will be there. Try to promote OARC and the benefits of being a participant within OARC, either as a member or as a non-member. But anyway, DNS-OARC, the organization is OARC, just OARC Incorporated. It's a 501c3 organization in US charity. Domain name system, operations analysis and research center. So that's where the abbreviation comes from. It's non-profit, membership based. We have around 100 members, from root operators to TLD operators to vendors. Quite a few people on this call are from those organizations. And in addition to that, we also have non-members who participate within the community. And it just gels very nicely because it's all very informal and we all share ideas and we all collaborate. The organization itself is 7 staff, full and part-time together. There are 6 elected board members who are elected from and by the membership. And then there are 7 program committee members who bring together the program for the workshops. They're all volunteers, and they're all from member organizations itself. Now, you may be wondering, for those who don't know, how we survive. So basically, we get our financial support through membership. And then we also try and make our workshops as sustainable as possible. So we get workshop sponsorship and attendance registrations. There are grants for software development and various contracts, and through research and project collaboration. So next slide, please. Thank you. So those who are wondering why, why does DNS-OARC exist? Well, we have to go back into actually, why do we exist? Well, most of you on this call know that DNS is mission critical. It's one of the most mission critical pieces of the infrastructure that underlies the internet. So when DNS stops working, for example, so do other applications, and then potentially the global internet. It's important to keep a stable and reliable and secure DNS in maintaining public confidence, government confidence, or confidence by the government, and basically the management of the functioning of the internet. And I guess nowadays, especially for youngsters, I guess could say it's important for functioning society. So that's one of the reasons why. The other thing is that it's like, well, as you know, there have been some major, very notable global internet outages over the past few years. And in some cases, these were down to DNS. So what we do is bringing the various DNS players together in a formal and informal, both in formal and informal way. And what we've done is we've tried to create a lounge setting. That's where the informal stuff comes, so that all these DNS players may collaborate, work on issues, and resolve them together. And I do write Center of Excellence, and I wouldn't say that we are directly a Center of Excellence. What I mean by that is that the DNS Lounge becomes a Center of Excellence. It's where the collection of people who are experts in DNS come together. So how do we do this? Well, I'll pass you over to Steve, who's going to explain. Steve, over to you.
Just a quick introduction. Thank you, Denesh, and thanks for the opportunity to present to you all here in this forum. We really appreciate it. I'm Steve Sullivan. I'm membership coordinator for the organization, as Denesh mentioned, and my role, of course, is outreach, wrangling in new members, and of course, Q&A for existing members and supporting the folks that we have. Feel free to reach out to me at the emails you'll see on the document here. As Denesh left off there in the how. Next slide, please, Andrew. As Denesh left off on the how part of this, we really do it through a couple different ways. And one of our first, most important things is the relationship and knowledge sharing. And we do that in a bunch of different ways. Our organization is the lounge, so to speak, to hang out. But it's a lot more than just a hangout spot. It is where a lot of work's getting done. You're talking serious total immersion in DNS, and it's operational DNS in addition to the latest research and innovations, plus new ways to do things with old stuff. As I recently had a conversation with Andreas about that. A lot of people consider our workshops as kind of employee development. You get a lot of bang for your buck when you go to an event, either as a member or not a member. As a member, you get more of the benefits in terms of having these folks at your fingertips, discussing DNS issues, solving problems in real time on our Mattermost chat discussion forum. And it does happen between DNS operators, network researchers, software implementers, in a secure vendor neutral environment. We are completely 100% vendor neutral. We are just providing space for this type of exchange of information to go on. And we end up being a vetted community of DNS professionals. We're not touting folks that we're the best because we have the smartest people. They just tend to show up in our space, and they bring each other up. No one here wants to see the other person fail. Everyone wants to see each other succeed. So it's also a very supportive organization in that respect. And this knowledge sharing, this community of DNS professionals is touted often. We hear it, and even our folks on this call that are current members now know that our conferences are lauded for being kind of on another level for DNS expertise and in immersing people in a world where you see levels of detail that you either weren't aware of or other people aren't focusing on. You know, we are DNS, and that is what we eat, sleep, and breathe. And of course, that's part of your world here on this call. A lot of people say they'd attend OARC conferences just for the hallway track alone. So, you know, that says quite a lot about our content and what we put together. Also, another place where we put a lot of, or we see a lot of collaboration is in our data collection and analysis. We do a yearly DIDL collection. And the interesting thing about that is we have most of the routes, if not all of the routes, putting data into that, which feeds into our supporters, our researchers, folks that are coming in to kind of push the envelope and try new things, new ways with using the OARC data in order to test it out. Then they end up coming back to our organization, ideally, and to other organizations to present that data with, you know, hopefully a nice plug for OARC. But it's a, you know, it's kind of feeds into the whole environment that we offer and pushing the envelope of DNS further and making sure that there's awareness of DNS and people know how important it is. The Mattermost example that was mentioned earlier, that Denesh alluded to, we actually saw quite an interesting thing happened last year. It was one of my first examples witnessing it when I started working with the OARC organization. I'm literally watching the internet get fixed in real time. Our Mattermost chat platform, as well as our email list, the DNS operations email, tend to be a place where stuff gets fixed, stuff gets figured out on the internet. And it's pretty interesting to see when there's a community issue out there to watch the community respond and act in order to fix things. They literally gel together in a way it's hard to explain. You see folks coming together to fix that DNS problem. You know, to do the short, without mentioning any names, do the short version of that story. There was an issue that happened. We saw the Mattermost channels light up. Then the email list started lighting up. Someone did a configuration change, and a certain number of the third-party resolvers didn't properly interpret the change, so they rolled it back. Then those third-party resolvers didn't recognize that change, so you had an outage issue that was going on, and we were able to connect with that person who happened to actually work in DNS with an existing member company to get them online within minutes and start solving the problem. Now, that's not always going to happen, but that's really a win for our organization in terms of how equipped we are and how we have this critical mass of experts. Let's see, other capabilities, portal. The portal is another tool we provide to our folks internally. If you're a member at our organization, the portal is how you get noticed on our member directory. It pretty much is the cornerstone of your membership. It's how we provision our benefits. It's where you put your SSH key for accessing our analysis servers. It's becoming more useful to us as well as to members, because we want to use this in order to deliver our discount codes for workshops, announcements. We don't want to overdo it, but we want it to be useful to our members as well as us as an enablement tool. And there's also talk about taking it to the next iteration down the road, being an app-based thing. We're moving into a world where apps are more functional than the desktop these days. So these are things we're moving into to make the membership work better for our members, but also to help us grow and meet the growing membership. Other tools we offer, we do a lot of software, open source software tools that you may or may not be familiar with, testing tools such as DNSPerf, DNSJIT, Check My DNS. These are developed by Jerry, our OARC software engineer. We also do statistics and measurements tools that are available to the general public. And these are not membership tools. These are available to the general public. And we also host other projects. For instance, we have DNSViz from Casey Decchio over at BYU is hosted here at OARC. So we have a lot of different tools that we offer the community too. And if you go to next slide for me, please. We kind of dovetail into the when and the where now on this. And you might want to know how to get to all this. Well, you don't necessarily have to be a member. You could actually start you could actually start participating with us right now today. The first place you could go to immediately is chat.dns.oarc.net. You go there right now, and you could go to a place where you can meet with the existing OARC membership, in addition to a lot of people out there in the DNS community at large, folks that you may or may not already know. They're going to be hanging out there. You see a lot of, hey, is anybody here from so-and-so organization? We prefer it to be a little bit easier in that you can identify on a search, but we're getting there. However, our members have the benefit of going to the directory and actually getting the contact name and address, and sometimes phone number of the people they need to contact. list.dns.org is where you can see all of our mailing lists. That's where you see DNS operations, a bunch of other mailing lists that you'll probably find useful if you're in this space. Twitter, Medium, YouTube, all the the normal locations with that DNS-OARC or our social media. Twitter, we do a lot of activity there. This actual event was tweeted and retweeted by a bunch of folks, so thank you. It's something we use to communicate with members, communicate with the general public, but also to make sure that we're promoting our events out there in the space. Medium, that's a good place to go and read on blogs such as what we're doing with our software. Jerry just put up a very long and detailed description of what he plans on doing with the year to come, and check my DNS. That's actually pretty interesting. And the YouTube channel is where you can go see our older previous workshops if you'd like to review them, and if you missed something. It's a good place to catch up, because I'll tell you right now, in my 3 workshops right now, it's easy to miss something, and it's best to have it there when you want to go back and refer to it. But all these allow you to collaborate with your peers in the industry, work with the community at large, and connect with the core brain trust in DNS and in cutting edge DNS. Now I want to turn it over back to Denesh. His responsibility is largely the workshops, and we do have a workshop coming up. So Denesh, why don't you go into that a little bit and kind of give them the down low on what's coming up here in October.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
So Steve spoke about the now, what you can do right now to participate, and I'm going to talk about actually when you can next participate face-to-face or even online. So OARC 39 is coming up in Belgrade in Serbia on the 22nd and 23rd of October. It's going to be a hybrid meeting, and when we say hybrid, we mean that participants can be in person or online, and that also includes the speakers. So presenters, if you have any content, if you have anything you'd like to present, but you're not sure if you're going to be in Serbia in person, we would welcome your submissions, your proposals for doing it remotely, because we can and will support that. So the next OARC 39 is in collaboration with the Center Technical Workshop, the 47th one that's going to be coming up, and it's a joint program. So you're going to have it's a 2-day thing, with the middle thing being both organizations doing a joint program, and on either side of those, one morning and one afternoon being specific to Center only and specific to OARC only. The call for presentations is live, so please go ahead and submit your proposals if you're interested in doing so. If you just wish to attend, the registration is also open. The link is over there. Please take a snapshot of the screen, because all the information you need on how to participate with us and how to participate in OARC is right there on the screen. So please, on my Apple, it will be Apple 3 or something. So please go ahead and take a screenshot. And the other thing is, we're also looking for sponsors. So if there are any organizations out here who would like to sponsor an OARC workshop, please get in touch with us via the website. But that's it for the moment. If you have any questions, we're open for them.
And I can see there's a question in the chat to that point, Denesh, which is sort of referring back to the recent OARC 38 event. I think I've seen 1 or 2 recordings of sessions, but I don't think they're all accessible yet. Is there a target timeline when they're all going to be up?
Yes, there's been a little bit of a backlog, and also because it's been the summer holidays, and actually the people who are looking at doing this as well, they're currently on holiday as well. So generally, it takes about 3 to 4 weeks. But I know there's been a little bit of backlog. The other thing is that because this has been the OARC 30 8 was the first time that we ran a hybrid meeting in a particular way. There's all these separate parts that need to be brought together. So it's a little bit more complex than we have had in the past, whereas in the past it was just a webcast and we just put the webcast onto YouTube directly and it was available. This requires some post-processing. So as soon as possible.
Thanks.
Brilliant. Thanks.
No worries, Peter.
Yeah, that was Peter posted that question. So anyone else either raise your sort of virtual hand using the Zoom tool. Actually, let me stop sharing.
And we actually have a lot of current members here. If anybody wants to speak up, that would be nice to hear too.
Yeah, I think you even got some program committee members, either current or past.
Mm-hmm.
We do indeed. Both.
So anyone else with any comments or questions want to jump in?
I don't have any questions, but as I've an ex-program committee member and a member of OARC for many, many years. I think the first time I attended OARC was back in 2004. So that's 18 years. And I think I presented at Microsoft's head office in 2006. So I would wholeheartedly recommend anybody who isn't involved with OARC, who's got anything to do with DNS, to be involved with OARC, because it's the premier DNS membership organization in the world. And there are many others, and many others you should be involved with. But if you're not involved with DNS-OARC, you should be.
Thanks for that, Brett. Appreciate it. Much appreciated. One thing I did fail to mention in my my bit there was, and this might actually appeal to this group, is we have the ability for our members, and sometimes if it's a big enough topic, non-members to activate channels that are specific to a certain thing. For instance, DDO. Maybe we would turn up a channel on DDoS attacks specifically, or Power DNS actually has in the community team their own channel set up, basically so people can talk directly to Power DNS over our community team. We have a lot of capabilities that may not be being exploited as well as they could be. So if you have any questions on that type of stuff, member, non-member, please come to me, admin@, or use the email addresses on the presentation.
Thanks, Steve. Anyone else with any questions or comments on OARC? Give you a chance to either unmute or put something in the chat.
Yeah, I mean, I can second what Brett has said. It's kind of like the premier organization if you're involved with anything DNS. And if you want to kind of enhance your knowledge or get new stuff in DNS, I mean, the workshops are the place to go. Don't miss them.
And also one more thing that actually I forgot to mention was that the next OARC 39 in Belgrade is actually on the Saturday and the Sunday before the RIPE meeting starts. So we're not in the same venue, but we're just down the street from there. So anyone who's going to the RIPE meeting anyway, you may as well pop in and see us at DNS-OARC as well.
Okay, well, plenty of spontaneous endorsements, which is always a good sign. So why don't we sort of seamlessly move then from talking about OARC onto the sort of second topic. So I'll go back to sharing my slides and just pop up a different slide on the screen. So Denesh, if we move on then to UKNOF, the UK Network Operators Forum. Again, do you want to just sort of take on from there and give us an update?
Yes, I will. Thank you, Andrew, for that introduction. And as you can see, I'm wearing a different hat now with my different background as well. So I've just changed hats into UKNOF mode. Well, UKNOF is basically it's the UK National Network Operator Group. Most countries, well, not most countries, but a lot of countries have their network operator groups, and we're the UK Network Operators Forum, because at the time that the domain name was being looked at, UKNOG was already gone. So we had to quickly look at how to start up a domain name with a website and something that was relevant. Anyway, basically what we have, our aim is to distribute Clue. There's no membership. It's a not-for-profit UK organization, but there is no membership. It's anyone who's interested in network operations, network engineering, infrastructure, and anything around it, such as even artificial intelligence nowadays, or even automation. So UKNOF covers a wide range of things that allows and enables network and infrastructures to thrive. Basically, that's it. You know, it's about the internet. So basically, getting people together, and so we all share knowledge. That's its main aim. It's constructed of a board who are elected, appointed, and then we have an advisory committee who keep us in check. There's a communications committee who does the blogging and everything, and comes up with a strategy for communications. And there's a program committee who bring the program together. And everyone is pretty much a volunteer. Myself, Denesh, Bhabuta, as you know from the previous thing, I'm a board member. I'm an executive director on the board, and I also look after the general logistics of all the meetings. So I do all the contract signing and everything for the venues, and keep an eye on how the day will go, or the days will go. The ways to keep in chat with, keep participating with us, various channels. We have a mailing list, but what we've seen is that the younger generations, the newer participants in the industry, they prefer not really to go onto mailman. We do have a mailing list, but really what we've seen a rise in immediate chat. And just like with OARC, UKNOF runs a Mattermost instance for its chat platform, uknof.uk/chat, and you can sign up there and start discussing a whole lot of things with a whole lot of people to do with networks. We're also on UKNOF. We're also on Twitter at UKNOF, and UKNOF Conf on YouTube is a collection of all our previous talks from all our previous meetings. Well, not all of them, but most of them, going back many, many years. And you can catch up even on the UK internet history stuff. But my main reason for being here is actually to say, look, you know, we have UKNOF 50 coming up in exactly a month from now, on the 22nd of September. So if you want to go there, it's uknof.org.uk/events/UKNOF50. It's a hybrid meeting, so you'll be able to participate, ask questions, chat with the speakers online, as well as also face to face. It's going to be in South London, near Southwark Station. Registrations are open now. There is early bird. Early bird finishes on the 1st of September, and in early bird it's only £50. So, and we will water and feed you as well throughout the day, and there will be a social. So please come along. If you've never been before, we are very, very welcoming. We do have mentors who will look after you as well and introduce you to community members if there is anyone in particular you wish to talk to. Yeah, the agenda is actually open. So if you want to find out more about UKNOF, the link is there on the uknof.org.uk. You want to find out more about UKNOF 50/events/UKNOF50, and that has the agenda on there as well. Just very quickly, I'll go through some of the topics that are going to be discussed. There's going to be hollow core fiber, what it is and why you should be interested. Another one I'm looking at is the unending misery of BGP tools. What else? Quantum computing and internet security. There's going to be stuff, how to automate the right DB handling with Netbox, security in and with community services. So these are some of the ones that have already been accepted, and it's quite varied content and different levels. So there will be something of interest for everyone on this call anyway. And that's it from me for now. Any questions?
Just one comment, Denesh. Thank you for that. And I equally endorse UKNOF, as you would expect me to. I'm on the program committee, and as most people know here, my background is DNS and not networking. So I'm kind of the member of the program committee who looks for DNS related things to go on the program. So if anybody in this meeting has DNS related things that they think would be interest to UKNOF, feel free to contact me, and I will guide you as needed.
Thank you, Brett. I will add to that something else, actually, because the thing is that during my talk, it may seem that everything has to be deeply technical and operational. But really, over the years, UKNOF has evolved in terms of actually there's something that's policy related. We don't really do policy, but if there is something policy related that affects the operations of the networks, that affects things, then we are interested in having those talks too. So for example, it could be like the National Crime Agency may come along and say, we've got this to talk about, and we believe that this will affect vendors, this will affect network providers, this will affect internet companies. And so the program committee can assess what they wish to talk about. And it's likely that that type of thing will go through. The other thing is that one of the things that we've noticed over time is that the bell curve, the peak of the bell curve of the age of participants within the industry and those who work within the industry is moving further and further to the right. And so what we like to do is we like to open up things so that the newer participants, new people coming into the industry are welcome as well. We do allow free registrations for those who are juniors, first-time attendees, those who actually would like to attend but can't afford to, for example. So we do have a small grant program in that respect as well to encourage people to come, because we are aware that actually if we don't get any new people joining the industry, then we don't know where this is going to head. But on that note, I will say I look forward to seeing you all at the next meeting.
Yeah, thanks, Denesh. And I guess as you sort of alluded to, given it's a hybrid event, then I know from sort of first-hand experience, having presented remotely previously, if anyone perhaps can't justify travelling to the UK, to South London for the event, but is interested in attending, then remote attendance is possible with UKNOF, just as it is with OARC, which makes it very much more accessible to people, which is a good thing. Anyone else with any comments or questions on UKNOF, or want to come back on anything on OARC before we move on? Let's give you a minute if so. And if you do, either pop a question in the chat or use the Zoom tool to raise your virtual hand, whichever's easier. We'll just pause for a moment to see if there is. And if not, I'll share the slides afterwards. And as both, I think Steve and Denesh mentioned, so contact emails are included on both, so you can go directly to either or both if you do have any follow-up that you want to pursue with them. Right, I'm not seeing any questions, so well, thank you both for that. That's much appreciated. You're very welcome to stay on the call or move on if you've got other pressing matters, but do appreciate the time sort of coming on to do that. That's very useful.
We thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you.
Hope to see you at the next workshop.
Indeed.
Yes.
Thank you both.
Take care.
Thank you.
Right, let me then just swap back to my original slides. I hope that was useful for everyone. Just to give an update on what was going on with the sort of two communities, which I think is always a good thing to sort of hear that directly from the respective organisers. Right. So I'll reshare my other screen, which be on your devices now. And let's just move on to some recent developments from the news. I'll just cherry pick a few things, as I normally do, from the weekly headlines, just in case you haven't picked up on those yet. So the things that caught my eye this week, I'll just pull out a few of these. There was a very interesting article from Echo on the sort of top DNS initiative, just giving a general update on some of the activities that's been undertaken under that sort of umbrella around fighting DNS abuse, which I found interesting. So I put that in the sort of news headlines this week. So if you have a moment, it's worth taking a look at that. Equally, Jeff Houston, as always, had a very thoughtful piece in APNIC, the APNIC block this week, just sort of really highlighting some of the advantages of using DNSSEC, and suggesting that actually you can sort of deal with DNS spoofing in arguably a more efficient manner simply by using DNSSEC than by using some of the other tools that are available. So whether you agree or not with Jeff's argument is always well argued. So that's definitely worth a moment to catch up on. And then on the policy side, you may have seen an announcement in the last few days of the Internet Governance Forum's newly constituted leadership panel, which I think it's fair to say there's been some strong debate in the community, both for and against the idea of a leadership panel. But the inaugural panel has now been selected. I think it's 15 people, if I recall. So if you haven't sort of seen the announcement, it's worth just click on the link. You can see who the individuals are, many of whom I think will be familiar to you. And then, just by way of an example, and some of the sort of the more negative views on it, I picked out an article from the Internet Governance Project from Milton Muller, I think it was, who clearly is not a fan. So there's a link to that to sort of give the perhaps the counter argument on whether it's the end of multi-stakeholder or not. And sort of linked to it, but not directly talking to the leadership panel specifically, this week there was a very interesting podcast put together by Ripe, just talking more broadly about some of the more general developments in internet governance. So if you want to catch up on the topic more generally, a very good discussion hosted by Alan, with people like Chris Buckridge and I think a couple of other contributors, just sort of talking about that, which I thought was very well put together, very easy listen. So an easy way to catch up on some of the sort of thinking around governance. And then final one I mentioned, so without sort of dragging this out too much, an article about some issues that have been identified, security issues linked to running VPNs on iOS, highlighting sort of privacy leaks, which appear to be unique to running VPNs on iOS. So if you haven't seen that, again, that's worth seeing if you're want to see what those issues may be. But apparently it's the research suggests that this was identified I think a year and a half or so ago, and has yet to be sort of dealt with within iOS. So it's worth a read to at least see what that's about. Right, moving on. In terms of forthcoming events, obviously Denesh talked about UKNOF, which is exactly a month today, 22nd September in London, and then Denesh and Steve talked about OARC in Belgrade in 22nd, 23rd October, so in 2 months' time, immediately before the RIPE event, and potentially with an IAB workshop co-located at the same time. I think that's still to be finalised, whether there'll be an in-person element of the IAB workshop. But so there's quite a lot happening in Belgrade in that sort of third week of October to make the sort of the travel well worth your while. And as you would have seen an email from me, I realised I hadn't corrected the slide, so apologies. I put out a note on email, just highlighting that the call for presentations. In fact, I put the correct link in the chat for that. So we had a couple of deadlines have just passed for various things, but if you're interested in those, it might not be too late to put them in, but you'll need to be quick. But the one that's still open is call for proposals for OARC 39, but don't use the link on the slide. I'll correct that. when I sort of put the recording up, either sort of this evening or tomorrow. But in the meantime, if you've got a presentation idea, you can use the link in the chat to put that in. And then finally, from me, just a reminder in terms of forthcoming topics. We won't have a presentation, I don't believe, on the 5th September, as it's Labor Day in the US, but that'll be a more informal catch up. Next week, by the way, subject to confirmation, but we may well have a discussion more focused around encrypted client hello, ECH. I'll confirm that through this week, but that's a sort of tentative topic for next Monday. As I say, 5th September, be more informal. On the 12th, to be finalised, but we should have a panel discussion, the second panel discussion on learnings from the sort of scaling up of support for encrypted DNS in recursive resolvers. And I hope to, again, to confirm that definitively this week. And then towards the back end of the month, we'll have a talk about the impact of encrypted DNS on internet filtering. And in early October, Emily Taylor from Oxford Information Labs will be joining us to talk about the DNS Research Federation. And then you'll see on the side a few other topics that I'll be adding in with dates over the next few weeks. And a reminder, if anyone else has got any anything you want to share more widely, feel free just to let me know, and I'll be happy to add you to the schedule as well. And that's it from me. So we're on any other business. So if I stop sharing, so we can make it a bit more interactive, just really open up to see if anyone else has got anything that you want to highlight that you've seen in the sort of news over the last week, or any other topics that you think will be worth mentioning whilst we're on the call this week. So if you do, by all means, put it in the chat or unmute and say it out loud if that's easier. So I'll just pause for a moment, see if anyone does. I'm not hearing anyone talking. Not seeing anything in the chat. So possibly not this week. In which case, let's draw a line there. So thanks everyone for coming on. In particular, thanks to Steve and Denesh for joining us to talk about OARC and UKNOF. I hope that was useful for everyone. Have a fantastic week, and we'll sort of catch up same time next week. So speak to you all then. Bye everyone.